Oh, there we go. All right. So now we are live. Let me know how the sound is. And I sent a link out to Stardancer. Stardancer, I mailed it to you, which I think is your Gmail account. Let me double check. Yeah, I sent it to your Gmail one. So yeah, so let me know if you have any problems getting in, and I'll see if I can find some other, or maybe resend it to you if you don't get it. I guess that's the best way to say it. Do it. Let me see. Angela Velasco. Hello. How you doing, sweetie? I'm doing all right. Thank you. Let me see. So yeah. So if anybody else would like to jump in, let me know. We will probably be, I don't know, talking about whatever comes to mind. I used to do these Saturday hangouts, and then I kind of dropped out of them, and I thought it would be a good idea to start them up again. I have Wednesday hangouts that I do once a month, which are for my Patreons. But I like to have these hangouts just for, Patreons and everybody else if they'd like to join in, because I appreciate the fact that even people watch my videos, let alone support me. So I appreciate all support. Let me say, hey, Jeremy, how's it going, Jeremy? Jeremy does some great music mashups. Andrea Kasha Morgan, hello, Drea, or Drea, not too sure how you pronounce that. Drea Kasha Morgan, love to come in. All right, let me see how I can get you in here. Drea, do you have a Twitter? If you have a Twitter, hit me, send me a tweet, and I will send you the link. Because if I post the link into YouTube, it won't let me. It won't. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to do three things at once here. That won't let me post the link in the chat. I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound so spacey. I'm just trying to do a couple of different things at once here. Let me see why is that set. Default. There you go. Hey, Stardancer, can you hear me? Okay. That's probably not on your end. It's probably on my end. So hold on. I'll check. Oh, no, I have it all set up correctly. Okay, yeah, I heard you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Is there any feedback this time?
No, there isn't. There isn't. Yay. So whatever the situation was, you got it resolved. I'm also just to be as an extra precaution, I'm using headphones and a mic myself just in case, because I don't want you guys to get an echo from me.
Yeah, I think what I have to do is I have to shut down the YouTube completely and just go to Google's Hangout.
Oh, wow. So you have to like exit YouTube and everything?
Yeah.
That's annoying.
It is annoying because I can't see live chat or anything, but
yeah, exactly. Well, what I have to do okay, so if I join a Hangout, first of all, the very first thing I have to do is go down into my settings and check to see what my default speakers and microphone are. I have to set those up, right? Then the next thing I have to do is I have to go into once I've clicked the Hangout and before I join, I have to go up to the settings and I have to make sure that the default settings are the same as the one that are on my computer.
Oh, it's so confusing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a little confusing at first, but once you do it, once you figure out how your setup works for you, then it's easy. But it's like finding that perfect balance between the Hangout and your computer is what's frustrating. But once you find that little sweet spot, then you're like, okay, that's what I have to do. That's how I have to set it up. Okay. And then it works. you know. So how you been doing?
I've been doing fine. My daughter and her family have lived with me for like 2.5 years, so they're finally starting to move out.
Oh,
Ye-
wow. Okay.
Yes, I have my house to myself.
Nice. Nice. So not to get too personal, but are you still married, or are you no longer?
I haven't been for 20 years.
Oh, so you'll really have the house to yourself.
Yes, me and the fur baby.
Nice, nice. Well, that's good. And so they found a fairly affordable place near them.
Yes, they did. It's like across town, I guess, an hour's away.
Mm,
She grew up in that area when we first moved here, so she's comfortable there, and she found a job that she
nice.
starts Wednesday, so that all fit into place.
Wow, that's good. Yeah, it's nice when stuff lines up for you. But yeah, it's tough for kids nowadays because, even if they get a job, it's probably not a very high paying job. And maybe they're still in school, or maybe they're out of school, or paying back student loans or whatever. But to find an apartment that's affordable, it's really hard. And in a decent area, maybe that's close to transportation and a shopping center, it's not cheap, So I think a lot of kids are having a hard time, quote unquote, leaving the nest because of that.
I've spoken to several older parents, and they said that they've heard of a lot of adult children having to move in with their kids, which is
Oh.
how it happened with me because things are not affordable anymore, and no one's really being paid what they worth or what they do.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things that I prefer, like, people are always talking about education, and yeah, education and degrees are important, but really what you need is access to entry level jobs, entry level high paying jobs, not entry level, McDonald's,
No,
Starbucks crap. I'm talking about entry level positions like mailroom clerk or something like that in big businesses, or places like that, so that they can actually get a start into it, whatever field they want to work into or get into. I think that's what we should really push for, rather than pushing so much on education, you
my
know
son started out at my ex's workplace. Just he worked in heating and cooling, and he started as a cleanup man, and now he's a mechanic. He
Mm,
works on air conditioners and furnaces, so he worked his way up. And it's taken him, I guess, about 18 years, but now he's up to where he's an electrician, or he's a mechanic. And
mhm,
he will, the homes that are being built, he'll go in and put the central heating and air in.
mhm.
So I agree.
Let me see. Sorry, start answer. I'm trying to figure out how to get other people in here. Let
That's
me see.
fine.
It always takes a little while at the beginning of these.
Uh, You know how to do it a lot more than I do. So
Well, like I said, it's like once you get it set up once, then it's easy to do it. So I'm going to post the link again in the Hangout in the chat room. Usually it doesn't work. Looks like it's putting it in twice.
hmm,
Um, Let me see. Oh, it does. Okay. All right. Never mind. So that link that's in there might work. Hangouts, google.com. Hangouts. Okay. All right. So maybe that link is good. So yeah. So I've heard of that too. Sorry, backing up to what you originally said about adults moving in with their kids, because yeah, sometimes, like, especially with the housing bubble that popped. What was that, like 10 years ago,
yes.
15 years ago? A lot of people lost their homes and had to, move in with relatives, and yeah, it was a horrible thing. A lot of people lost their homes.
A lot of
So.
changes have taken place.
Mhm. Yeah.
So what are we chatting about tonight?
Well, it's kind of open. It's kind of open. So we kind of get to we get to have control and talk about whatever it is that we want to talk about. So you have any burning ideas?
Hmm. I was going to ask you, because I don't know a lot about your practice.
Mm-hmm.
Do you incorporate like crystals or herbs or oils or anything into your practice?
Yes and no. I'm very practical, and the way that I look at crystals and stuff like that is I can see how they could be used symbolically to represent things, or maybe symbolically as, like, let's say you're making a little mojo bag, or or a poppet or something like that, like you'd throw in a stone sort of to kind of to represent, to amplify whatever it is that you're doing. Like, let's say maybe you're making a love poppet or a protection poppet or whatever. You might throw in, like, a rose quartz or an onk stone, to kind of because it's a correspondence with whatever it is that you may be doing.
Right.
But as for by themselves, I don't put all that much importance. Like, I don't like create a crystal grid on my altar and charge that. Now, maybe my voice kind of changed a little bit around that. Maybe it was a little condescending, and I apologize, because I know there's a lot of people who are into crystals, and I don't mean to, belittle them or anything. It's just, for me, for my practice, it's not very important. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I've noticed a lot of male witches and sorcerers. They incorporate them in the way you do, but they're what is the term I'm trying to use? They're a little more to where they would rather not analytical. I can't think of the word I'm trying to think of.
Well, analytical is a good word. You mean like logical,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah, well, I think that's I also firmly believe that there are biological differences between men and women. So yes, I agree with you.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that women tend to, not generalizing, not saying that this is the only possibility, but I believe that generally women are more empathetic. They're more emotional, not really emotional, but they're more kind of, they really tune in, like during conversations or business transactions. They're very much people oriented. They're more geared towards how a person reacts or how they view things. And I believe that males tend to be more analytical and more, kind of approach it from a practical perspective, like, how is this going to benefit me, or how is this going to benefit the business, or so I think that there are biological differences between men and women about how they approach magic too. And I think that women maybe approach it from a more intuitive, empathetic way. And I think that some male witches take a more sort of logical, analytical approach to magic.
Well, I mean, I can do both. I can not use any props at all.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to also figure too, women love crystals and stones.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like the jewelry, so
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that also comes into play too.
Oh, good. So, hello, Drea. First of all, am I pronouncing your name correctly? We can't hear you, so I think your mic is muted.
Oh,
So anyhow, so while they get that figured out, so yeah, and okay, and also herbs. I think that herbs they've kind of taken a different direction than I think they originally were, because obviously, you look back in folklore, there's people who put certain herbs together for a purpose, like, maybe St. John's wort to sort of heal a sunburn, or maybe chamomile to kind of get yourself to go to sleep, or so in that respect, there's herbs that can be used in to sort of make teas or tinctures or whatever to help people. And that's obviously how we kind of, how aspirin developed and how we got into, creating drugs that, nowadays we use to combat all kinds of different infections and help people heal. Some of them are synthetic, some of them are more natural. But so that's how I look at herbs that way. As for herbs being a representation for correspondence, like going back to, say, that poppet example before, where you might put in, like, let's say for love poppet or love mojo bag, you might put in that red carnation stone or is red carnation stone? No, what am I talking about? Red garnet and rose or whatever. So you would put that in there as a correspondence representation of it.
Right.
But that's about as far as I don't get into a lot of tinctures and working with herbs in that sense. I like, if I have a problem, I'm going to go to the doctor. I'm not gonna try to cook up a chamomile tea to, I might cook up a chamomile tea to go to sleep. But if I get a severe sunburn, I'm not going to be rubbing, St. John's wort on it, or not St. John's wort. What am I talking about?
Aloha.
Testing in my end,
No.
guys.
Yeah, we can hear you now, Drea. Now, first of all, am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Yes, you are.
Okay, so it's Drea.
Yes.
Okay, well, welcome, Drea. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing all right.
Doing great.
How did you find out about this hangout?
Well, I just have you on notification and saw you were doing a live and wanted to join in. So
Okay. No problem with that. No problem with that. I was just curious. Okay, so you've seen my videos before.
yes.
Oh, okay. That's all right. It's all right. It's just I wasn't familiar. I'm not familiar with your name, so
Oh.
yeah.
I keep in the shadows.
You okay. You're lurking from afar, huh?
Exactly.
You're keeping an eye on me, making sure I'm being honest, huh?
Oh yeah.
So, well, good. Well, welcome. So, we were talking about using how we use certain things in our practice. So, let me see. Start answer. So, does that answer your question?
Yes. You're definitely more logical in that aspect where I make my own oils. I use the herbs I make my own candles. So I'll infuse herbs and oils into my candles. The crystals and stones, I do the same thing. I have made like what they call a medicine bag and worn it around my neck before for protection.
Mm-hmm.
I wear like selenite pendant or rhodochrosite. I make necklaces, rhodochrosite, tiger's eye, that type of thing, to kind of make me feel like I've got a little bit more boost.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think most people are that way. And I call those like mojo bags or magic. I think when I learned about them, I think they're just called magic bags. But yeah, I mean, because I see like poppets well, not always poppets, but you can use a poppet for that, or a mojo bag, or a magic bag, or medicine bag, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can same thing with sometimes people make witches jars or witches bottles. The same thing. It's the same basic principle. You put in certain correspondence to certain things for a certain purpose.
And then I charge it with my intention.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what about you, Drea? Do you have a practice? And if you do have a practice, is there how would you describe it?
Right now I'm more or less eclectic, leaning towards earth magic, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why is because I guess you could say I feel more connected with I'm just like how Star is. I love using different types of herbs, different types of stones. Um, I use herbs for like, especially for my daughter when she's not feeling well. I look them up and see what's good for her asthma, and try to brew up some tea to help her with that. And I also mix it in with different crystals and things like that. I also try to incorporate that into my cooking, as far as use different herbs for, like, say if I want to do one for prosperity, I'll use different herbs into my cooking for that day for prosperity.
Def-
So I definitely would use, I definitely use herbs. I try to pull away more from pharmaceutical pharmacy medicines because of the chemicals they have. And like if you were to watch like the commercials, how they say, oh, this cure this, but there's always that
Right.
but part. And it's like, are you serious? So now we have to get medicine for that too, and then you're gonna say there's wrong with that. So
Right.
I'm like, why not go back to the old the old ways and just, I mean, back when the older witches, they didn't need all these chemical medications to heal them. They used the earth. They use different berries. They use different herbs and spices for even the smallest little cough. They'll use it for, and it's like, why can't we go back to the days of the older witches and be like, okay, this helped them before, why we can't do it now,
Right.
so it's just, I just can't, I can't, because it's just, some of these I'm allergic to, like I'm allergic to codeine,
Mm.
and it's just, I can't, I can't use it. I just rather just stick with the earth healing, because it just feels better.
Mhm.
it does. And then like for antibacterial, you have like the holy basil and the oregano in the tinctures and the oils. And then when you cook, do you use a wooden spoon to stir?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I like to incorporate magic in my cooking, especially if I have guests coming over.
Oh yeah, you don't know if you have one of those guests that wants to get on your last nerves. You can have guests that just work your everlasting nerve. You're like, let's just make this guest very loving today.
That's it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the way I look at that is, for example, like let's say you're trying to create like let's say essence of lavender. So you would cook it down and do all, I think it's what tincture. There's a certain process you have to like get down to the very essence of the oil of lavender, and then you use that, and then you have a lavender oil or you have the essence of lavender. So you go through a whole process of kind of breaking it down to its most pure form, or its most strongest form. That's what they did in alchemy. In alchemy, they
Mhm.
used various things to change the thing from one thing into another to transform. But they also used a process to kind of solidify stuff, sort of like, or not solidify, but sort of combine and strengthen it down into like an essence or a tincture or whatever. And it's sort of the same thing that they do with the 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 uh, the the pharmacy, or not the pharmacy, but the process that they use in a medical lab. They essentially get certain things and they try to create the essence of it. And then they also create synthetic ones and try to, they're working on like a whole molecular level and all this other stuff. But so I look at the way that we medicine today as, it's still that same process. It's still, that person going into the garden collecting that herb that is going to help somebody with whatever it is that they're doing. They're going back into their house and they're boiling it down or trying to get it down to its essence so that they can use it for that purpose. For example, getting clove down so that they can get an oil of clove so that they can use it to help, like a baby that's teething, or a toothache that one person might have. The medical profession may use that to get the the chemical within clove that can be used for a numbing agent. You know, like cocaine's a good example of that. Go ahead.
I mean, as far as clove oil, you can make that at home. I have done that and used it for a toothache for my daughter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very good for that.
I just stuck on the whole clove, so I don't have time for it. If you have a toothache, you gotta get to the nitty gritty, okay? So if you have to just get like a cotton and just wrap it up in the cotton and suck on that puppy, hey, go for it.
So now we know that
that
Drea has very good breath. So if we ever meet her in real life, wow, you have such a nice breath of clove on you. That's all right. I think there's a lot of people I encounter on a daily basis that could use a cup that should be sucking on a couple of cloves.
Oh.
It's like back up about 5 feet and just yell, okay?
Matter of fact, use a megaphone, okay? Just use a megaphone.
Actually, you know what? Here's my number. Why don't you call me?
I know, right? No, don't call me. Just text me. Just text me.
Breath so bad you can smell it through the phone. Oh man,
exactly.
That's not good. That's not good. So. And how long have you just gotten into witchcraft, or have you been practicing for a little while?
I
Drea.
started just November of last year.
Oh, okay.
So
oh, good.
I'm still, I guess you could say I'm still a little baby.
Well, yeah. I mean, we all have to start at some time. You know, none of us come into it with a whole bunch of knowledge.
Oh yeah, it'll be nice though. It would definitely be nice if we could, but
Yeah.
I take myself though as an eternal student.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh.
And I will go over the information and the knowledge I've learned in the past, and every so often I will re-pick those books back up and I will reread, because there are things you will have forgotten that you can use for practice.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you. Yeah, because I think it is. I think it is like an eternal learning process. You're just always learning stuff. There's so much. There's no way you can know everything. I mean, shit. There's just so much out there. It's impossible to know everything. But yeah, I mean, I kind of sometimes like in a Facebook group, I'll read a post by somebody. They'll talk about it like a year and a day. Like it's like they do something for a year and a day, and it's like, oh, okay, well that's it. It's like, no, you're still learning.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
It ends after a year and a day.
Yeah, learning is every day, even if you're not in the craft. Let's say if you're not, it's just learning is an everyday essential of life. You don't stop learning until you pass on to the next round.
Yeah.
Then come back and relearn.
Exactly. Exactly. And then relearn everything all over again.
Right.
And do it better.
Yeah, but in this time you're speaking Chinese or Russian. So
yes.
Exactly.
Now you got to learn it in a whole different language.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, it's always a process, and I agree with you. Start answers like every so often I'll have to go and like, am I remembering that right? Or somebody will ask me a question. I'm like, wait a second, do I remember that right? And I'll have to go back and okay, where did I get that? Okay, it's from this book. All right. Oh yeah, I did get it right. Or oh shit, I got that wrong.
Exactly.
What books have you read in order to start your practice, Lolokin?
Wow, let's see. When I first started out, I read a lot of mythology. There was mythology that I just enjoyed reading it. Greek mythology, Roman mythology, Celtic mythology, Norse mythology, Hindu mythology. I just really loved mythology. So I read a lot of those books. And I heard about the Druids when I studied Celtic mythology. And from that point, I was interested in that. And so I started learning about Druids and paganism and like pre-Christian faiths. And I was like, wow, so that's what people practiced before Christianity. And I really got interested in it. So I started reading books on Druidism. I wanted to find out the historical roots of Druidism. So I studied a lot of history and archaeology, a lot of just academic books. And then when I got into witchcraft also. And one of the very first books that I recommend to every single person who is interested in practicing a European style of witchcraft is Janet and Stuart Farrar's books, What Witches Do, and what's the name? It's What Witches Do and 8 Sabbaths for Witches. Those 2 books were the bedrock of my practice. And then after that, I read Gerald Gardner, and then I got into the occult, studied like the Keys of Solomon 1 and 2, but the 3 books of occult philosophy by Cornelius Henry Agrippa is bedrock. So I'd say Janet Stewart Farrar for an English traditional Wicca practice, and then for the occult in general, the 3 books of occult philosophy, because it's just bedrock.
Those are very expensive, though. I have priced those. Very expensive.
You can download the 3 books of occult philosophy as a PDF.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, it's perfectly legal because it's out of copyright.
Okay. I did not know if it was online that you could download it or not. I know like the Egyptian and Tibetan Book of the Dead. I study everything too. The Nag Hammadi, the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, those type of things. I knew you could download, but I didn't know about those 3.
Oh, well, okay. The book by Janet and Stuart Farrar, I don't believe you can download that as a PDF.
The books from Agrippa.
The book from Agrippa, yes. The 3 books of occult philosophy, yes, you can download those as a PDF. Most magical books you can download as a PDF because most of them are out of copyright. A lot of books that are by Aleister Crowley, the OTO, bought the rights to those books. So a lot of books by Aleister Crowley, you can't download most of those, but some you can download. But definitely a lot of other books like the Picatrix, 3 books of occult philosophy, some other ones I just can't bring to memory right now. You can download those as a PDF. There's a link on my website on the links page. If you click on that, there's a link to the Hermetic Library, and in that Hermetic Library, which will open up, it's another site. There you can just put in like 3 books of occult philosophy PDF in Google, and I'm sure something will pop up for you. Yeah.
I love to read. I'm a bookworm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm becoming a bookworm, so I'm right with you.
I mean, I was actually just thinking about it. It's been such a long time since I actually like sat down and just like read a book. You know what I mean? Like when you just sit down and actually just like read a book, you find, you read like several chapters or maybe even the whole book in one sitting. It's like nowadays I just kind of reference stuff occasionally, but most of the time I spend all my research online, which is kind of I mean, it's okay, but there's something about thumbing your way through tomes, which is fun.
I definitely like feeling the books in my hands.
Yes.
I like having a hard copy.
Exactly. Yes.
Well, I do both. I do both the Kindle version and the hard books. So.
Mm-hmm. So Dre, I'd be interested. What authors have you encountered that you relate to or you really enjoy reading?
I would have to say I enjoy Cunningham's books.
Mm.
I feel like it's very detailed, to the point, um very very self-explanatory. It's very easy for me, I feel, especially with me being new into the craft. It's very easy for me to really understand
Hmm.
what he's saying, and what he's talking about. So I would definitely say Cunningham would be my number one choice.
Hmm. Yeah, Cunningham's a good author. I mean, there's a lot of people who like him. And I think he is. I think he's recommended by a lot of people. I actually didn't really get into Scott Cunningham until, well, I mean, I didn't actually even get into him, but I actually did read some of his books later on. Um, I think years after I'd been practicing, which was okay. Uh, but uh, but I think that his approach to Wicca is, there was a lot of stuff that he just couldn't print. Um, Not to bore you, but to give you a little history of it, Wicca was an initiatory tradition a long time ago before it became popularized and everybody started writing books on Wicca. But so you were given your book of shadows by whatever group you're initiated into, but it was, you were not allowed to tell anybody what was in the book or print it. That was a big no-no. So all of the authors back from the early 90s, late 80s who wrote about Wicca could not write it from the perspective of what it actually was the English traditional Wicca. So they had to take Wicca and sort of change it and kind of mold it and shape it a little bit to be able to print it without like pissing off the larger community. So that's what Scott Cunningham did with his book. So his practice is all from his perspective, and very little of it actually has to do with quote unquote traditional Wicca. But I do agree with you. I think it is a good book for beginners. But it's not complete. It's not all there. I guess is the
Oh
best way to
yeah, I
describe
totally
it.
understand, because I've read about the history about how you're not, if you're like within a coven, you can't, and you are like sharing the Book of Shadows, you have to keep what you say and do within the coven, and
Right.
you can't share it outside the coven, or you're considered a quote unquote a warlock.
Right.
So, and I totally understand. That's why I can't. That's why I rather be a solitaire, because I am the type of person that likes to share.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, I
Yeah.
can't keep my mouth shut when it comes to my practice, my belief, because I will go out and tell you, oh, guess what I learned today, and then I'll be, oh, okay, yeah, you need to be out the group.
Yeah.
So I rather be on my own.
Exactly.
Now, have either one of you read any books by Christopher Panzak?
Hmm.
I haven't.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I like his approach, but he was a student of Laurie Cabot.
Yeah.
And Laurie Cabot, she's still alive, and she's a really interesting character. I remember seeing her on, I think it was like Phil Donahue or something, a long time ago, back in the late '80s when they were having the Satanic Panic, and
Oh wow.
yeah, she came on with her hair all teased up and black cloak, and I mean, you didn't see people like this dressed up, back then all the time, especially on public TV. So she really raised quite a stir. I mean, she's an interesting character. But yeah, I think Christopher Penczak is a very prolific writer. He's written a lot of books, and there's a lot of people who like him. I've read some of his books, and I think they're okay. There's nothing, I mean, everybody who writes, it's their perspective on their practice and what they've researched or whatever. So it's hard for me to kind of like judge like if it's bad or good. There's a lot of information I agree with, excuse me, and then there's a lot of information that I don't agree with. Then there's certain things that I will read in some books where I will go, okay, I know where that came from, and they're either misquoting it or they're sourcing it to the wrong person or wrong thing, or maybe they put their own little twist on it or added to it, which often happens.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that, that's kind of what they do. A good example is the Witch's Pyramid. A lot of books will talk about the Witch's Pyramid or the powers of the four powers of the Magi and where they come from, and they'll list them, to know, to dare, to will, and to keep silent. And then they'll add on a fifth one, which is spirit. And and then it's to do or whatever. There's some other words that are associated with that. But in the Witch's Pyramid, that's not there. When
Right.
Eliphas Levi was talking about the Witch's Pyramid and the four powers of the Magi, there was no mention of spirit. It was just those four things. So that's just kind of an example of how people add to something. And I don't know if it's necessarily wrong or is detrimental. I think it's just added to it, and I think it kind of makes logical sense. But it's not like, if you're going to like try to stick with where it all comes from, where it originates, it's not 100% accurate. But there's nothing really wrong with it.
That was just as far as beginner books. He has one on the inner temple of witchcraft that might be good for you, Drea. That helps with developing like your meditation and your connection. And then the second one is deals with the outer temple of witchcraft that deals with the actual practice.
Oh, okay. I would definitely look into that because, like I said, I'm learning every day new different things from everybody. So I'm willing to learn whatever I can.
Mm-hmm. And one thing that I really recommend for people who are starting out is to, if you haven't already done this, is to spend some time with just yourself to find out kind of how you view things, how you view life, how you view, life after death, and all these big questions that everybody asks in life. Whatever you kind of like, what you believe agrees with the way that you feel about things is probably the best way to go. Rather than trying to find a path that doesn't agree with your with your with your inner beliefs. It's just not, it's going to be frustrating because you're going to be either wanting to change that, or you're going to feel like you have to change to conform to that particular path. So I think when you start out, the journey of the self, I think the best thing to do is to spend some time with yourself, find out who you are, what you believe, and then find what resonates with you. And then another thing is, whatever culture or cultures that you come from or where your parents come from is also a good way, because sometimes you can kind of connect with your ancestry and where you come from and who you are, and use that as a starting point too. I think that that's helpful for some people too.
Yeah, I would read books and I would take out what I agreed with, what I resonated with, and then would put aside what didn't. You just like pick and choose when you're eclectic.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't
Because,
really think about that.
well, and I mean, your path is always going to take different twists and turns as you grow.
Yeah, that is true. And like I'm noticing that too because I'm like in between. Like, okay, should I be an earth one or should I be a hedge one? Should I stay eclectic? So I'm kind of like torn in between of, okay, which one should I be? My year and a day is coming up, and I want to make everything finalized before my year and a day. So it is. it's been a lot of like tug of war with it with me.
No, don't. Okay, I mentioned the year and a day thing earlier, but
No.
trust me, just do whatever you want. Don't put a time constraint on yourself, unless you feel like you have to because, for whatever reason. But a year and a day, one of the reasons why people talk about a year and a day is because when you are like, let's say you're approaching a group where you want to be initiated into that group and become part of that tradition and then become a part of it, they would have you go through usually a probationary period where it was considered, back again to mythology, a year and a day. So in this year and a day, you would essentially kind of like learn a lot of stuff. And then at the end of the year and a day, if you wanted to continue, then you would continue with your studies. If not, then, either maybe you weren't a right fit for that group or that group wasn't a right fit for you and you would part your ways. But you would spend that year and a day getting to know the people in that group, talking with them, asking questions, finding out how they practice, what they, you know what I mean? So it's a get to know you period before you actually put any more emotional, magical investment into that group. It's beneficial for you and also that other group. So don't get too locked into this year and a day thing, unless you're actually petitioning a group to join them.
Oh no,
It
I'm
doesn't
not.
really matter. Yeah.
No, I'm not petitioning a group to join them. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
Like I
So
said, like I said, me and the group won't. Yeah.
yeah, so you don't have to worry about a year and a day thing. That's
Okay.
only to get to know a group. Nobody like studies for, okay, all right, in a year and a day I'm going to become a witch, and then you wait a year and a day, it's, oh, okay, I'm a witch. No. You are one. you know, I believe people are born as a witch, and what they do is they find themselves is essentially. That's why I recommended earlier to look inside yourself for what you believe, because chances are you're going to tap into that inner witch, quote unquote inner witch. And from that standpoint, then you can find out who and what you resonate with and what you don't resonate with. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. Now
Yeah.
I feel better. Now I don't feel like I have to like, oh my goodness, my
Oh
year
my
and a day's coming
goodness.
up. Let's
Oh.
go.
And that puts a lot of stress on you, thinking you have to hurry up and learn everything in a year and a day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You
exactly.
want to go by your own pace.
exactly. So
Yeah,
I feel better
exactly.
now. So no more stressing about it. I feel much better.
Yeah. No. Don't stress. Don't stress.
It's more fun when you take your time and you go off in whatever direction you feel led to go.
Yeah. And sometimes people get into Wicca or witchcraft or paganism, and they study it for a while and they find out it's not for them and they move on to something else. That's why I really recommend people like look inside themselves first to find out what they resonate with, because it could be that witchcraft or paganism isn't for you. Maybe you find out later on that like Buddhism or Zen or something else, is calling to you, or you feel or you resonate with. You know what I mean? So it's
hmm
like you don't have to feel like you have to get into a certain thing. But I mean, it's a journey of self. When it comes down to it, it's the journey of the self. So be true to yourself, know yourself, and I think everything else is
It'll
easier
fall
from
in
that point.
place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the occult axioms is know thyself. And that I think that is one of the most important things, because if you know yourself, then everything else kind of falls into place. But knowing
Yeah.
oneself is not is not as easy as it sounds.
Yeah, exactly. Not knowing who you are and what to believe, then you'd be like, oh, I'm so confused. Yeah, I don't want to be like that. I want to be like, okay, this is who I am. I'm sticking to it, and it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I should be starting a series. There's just so many things I have to do. But one of the things I have a Wicca 2.0 series on my channel, but I also wanted to make like an introductory one, just so for people who come to my channel who are interested in, you know, like wanting to find out more about an English traditional Wicca practice without without having to go through, you know, talking to a group or petitioning the group and actually becoming initiated and all that stuff. So it would be an introduction to it, but done in such a way where it's just talking about it in a very broad, general way without getting any specifics, you know, because obviously I have to adhere to my oaths of, you know, not revealing the secrets of the Wicca. So, but I do want to kind of create a Wicca 1.0 series so that people can learn about it and find out more about how that tradition is, and if it resonates with them and if it doesn't resonate with them.
Right.
That would be nice.
Yeah, I just have to do it.
There's nothing to it but to do it.
Yeah, if only I could take all the ideas that are rattling around in my head and solidify them into reality, that would be fantastic. But unfortunately, it takes work to do that. I actually have to write shit out and edit it and upload it and put it on the YouTube. Which sometimes is not as easy as it sounds.
Oh, I could totally understand. I totally understand.
Yeah. Now, do either of you make? I don't think you do, Start Answer, but do you make videos, Drea?
Yes, I do.
Oh, you do. Cool.
Good. Another channel I can go to. I love watching
Yeah.
other witches and practitioners. In time, I will. I'm just taking it very slow. Actually, Lalokin, you're helping me break in.
Oh, good. Good.
Nice.
Good. Then you can blame me later on when you're frustrated about having to create a video.
I will. The devil made me do it.
You'll be sending me an email. It'll be in all caps. Why did you do this?
It was the devil. The devil made me do it.
I was so content on YouTube without making videos. Then you urged me to make, got me into making videos. I hate you. I never want to see you again. Click.
Never again. We're not friends no more. No.
You bald-headed, big-eared, freaky-looking. No. So what's the name of your channel, Drea?
Just pretty much what it is Drea Keisha Morgana.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So let me see. In the Google Hangout that the three of us are in, there is a little blue icon in the upper right-hand corner that opens up the group chat. If you want to put the link to your channel in there, I'll copy it and paste it into the chat so people can go and check out your channel.
That would be nice. That would be very nice.
Okay, let's see if I could do this.
You sound like me.
Yeah, exactly. Let me see if I can do this.
Let me see here.
That's like me when I'm starting this Hangout. It's like, okay, can I send the link to people?
Yeah,
It's like, can I really do this? Let's see.
Let me see. So, and
Did
what
it go
about
through?
your? Let me see. Let me see if I see it. I'm not seeing it. Is it in the group chat?
It is. At least I think it is.
Not the group chat that the other people are seeing, but the group chat within our little Google Hangout.
Does it say enter chat message or link here?
No, it'll say up in the upper right-hand corner. There'll be a little blue icon, the very top one, that looks like a little message bubble.
No,
It
see,
says
mine's
chat.
on the bottom. Mine's on the bottom.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. So it says chat.
Mm.
And you click it, and the group chat box should open on the right-hand side.
Well, I am not seeing it.
You're not seeing it. Okay.
Maybe she's the same way I am.
That's all right. That's all right. Let me see if I can find your channel.
Links. I'll find you though. I'll find you tonight when we get off.
Aww.
What time is it where everyone's at? It's like 10 o'clock here.
It is. Let's see, where am I at? It's 7:09.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, 7:09 here too.
On the
Yeah, it's 10 o'clock here, so it's very different because you'll go, oh, I'm going to go make dinner, and it's like, okay, it's like time for everybody to go to bed around here. Of course, I stay up till 4 in the morning, so.
Well, let me actually.
Where are you guys located?
Well, I'm in San Francisco, California.
Oh, well, we're both in California because I'm in Ventura County, California.
Oh, okay. That's north of me.
Yes.
So let's see. I'm going to your channel here. Ah, okay. There you are. Let me see. Drea Kasha Morrigan.
Yep, that's me.
All right, so I'll put it in the chat. There we go. So that the link I just put in the chat room is a link to Drea's channel, so you can go and check her out.
Woohoo!
More subscribers.
No. Don't mind me. I'm just a happy old go lucky person. No.
Yeah. Well, it's hard when you first join YouTube and you make a video and you upload it and you have 0 subscribers and you have 0 views, and then you get like 1 view one day. You're like, oh, somebody watched my video.
I know, I did like that. I was like, oh, I got a video watcher.
And then somebody makes a comment. You're like, holy shit, somebody made a comment on my video.
It's like,
and then you get your first thumbs up. You're like, wow, somebody liked my video. It's really cool.
I even get happy when I get my first thumb down. So.
Yeah, I know, right, exactly. And then you get your first thumb down. And then you get your first asshole comment. Then you get your first troll.
Oh, yeah.
Troll.
Gotta love the troll.
Yeah, exactly. And then later on, you've got like a couple hundred subscribers, and you're like, oh, shit, I got to make a fucking video. The hell am I going to talk about?
I know how you got to go all over the place trying to find the topic.
I know if I talk about this, I'm going to piss somebody off. So I'll just talk about it.
Yeah.
And then you lose half your subscribers. You're like, son of a...
Oh, well, I just rubbed somebody the wrong way. My bad.
Gotta be me. I don't have a filter. My filter wore out about 20 years ago.
Well, like I said on my channel, in my channel description, I keep it 100. And if you guys have a problem with it, oh well, then don't subscribe.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, that's the best attitude, because if you do that, you're going to attract people who are there for your content, who resonate with you and who agree with you. And then all those people who don't agree with you, they're going to unsubscribe and they're going to move on, which in my opinion is actually the best, because you want people who agree with you. I mean, it's not like you're trying to create a quote unquote echo chamber, but hopefully the people who are commenting on your videos and watching your videos are people who enjoy your content and support and agree with you.
Exactly.
And, yeah. And every so often I'll get somebody who disagrees with me or whatever, and that's fine. I mean, as long as they're relatively polite, I don't care. I mean, I'll share my opinion with somebody, and if they disagree with me, I'll hear them out. But I'm sure we might get to one point where it just comes down to like, well, that's what you think and this is what I think, and we just don't agree. Nothing wrong with that.
That is so true.
Yep.
And if all else fails, just delete their comment.
Well, yeah, exactly. And yeah, I mean, usually when I delete comments or remove people, it's because they're either just so fucking stupid that I don't want to deal with them, or they're really or they're really obnoxious and just being a complete asshole. And if that's the case, then I'll just remove their comment. But for the most part, if somebody disagrees with me, I'll be like, you know, I might chat with them for a little bit, but that's about it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Like I had this one lady who commented, she's in support of this person, Gregory Reed, who claims to have, you know, basically been involved in a murder, and this is his claim, and he was present for it, even though he was at a young age. But you know, if you witness a murder, you have a responsibility to report it to the police. And in his testimony, he never did this, and so I just don't believe that all this stuff happened, and I disagreed with him, and I made a video about it. And this lady came onto my channel, and she was like, "Well, I believe him," and I was like, "Well, that's nice that you believe him. You think he's a nice guy, and you think he's honest, and all this stuff. What other evidence do you have to support that this happened? I mean, did he file a police report? Was there an autopsy report done? You know, all these various basic questions about this." And she just couldn't answer. She was just talking about, well, you know, do you believe in God and all this other stuff? And I just was, I mean, I didn't mind talking to her back and forth, but after a while it was like, okay, you really don't care about the life of this person who you claim has been, you know, taken off this earth by somebody who claims to have, you know, have witnessed it. You actually care about trying to convert me to Christianity.
Right.
And, you know, and then after she ended up just like removing all of her comments. So it's like I went back to the comment section home, and all my responses were there. She removed her comments. I was like, oh, cool. The trash took itself out.
And you know what though? That's funny because it just, to me, it just seems like why even bother being on somebody's channel and trying to convert them to your belief?
Yeah.
You know, that's just wasting your time and their time. And I mean, I don't disrespect other people's beliefs, but if you're gonna come on my shit and disrespect me, I'm gonna let it be known. And if I hurt your feelings, oh well, too damn bad. You should have been on my shit for me to hurt your feelings,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's so disrespectful. I just feel like you don't need to be coming on my channel saying like, oh, you're going to hell and this and that and blah blah blah. I was like, bitch, I've been there, done that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know? So it's just crazy. I can't stand. I don't like hypocrites like that. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. And then sometimes, like, you know, people would come onto my channel and they're just really aggressive and insulting. And it's like, then they don't understand why I will react negatively and, you know, curse them out and stuff like that. It's like, who in their right mind will run up to somebody on the street, scream in their face, call them a name or accuse them of something, and then not expect that person to react or probably more realistically punch you. You know?
Exactly. Exactly. Like, it's funny. I'll tell you like a quick story. When I had my ex fiance, I had told him and his mom that I'm becoming a witch, and all I've gotten was not text messages, but phone messages talking about you and your daughter's going to hell and try to give me Bible verses after Bible verses. I'm like, first of all, let me throw some Bible verses at you. And then second of all, who the hell do you think you are? You ain't your God to judge me. And lastly, you need to be looking up in your closet before you judge me and mine. And furthermore, don't be coming at my daughter like that, talking about my daughter's going to hell, okay? So, whatever with that. So, yeah, I had to check that.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when he's like telling you that you're going to hell, you know, raising your own daughter. And it's like, what?
Exactly.
You have no idea what I have to go through to raise this daughter or how I raise her.
Exactly. You know, my daughter has her own choice. If she wants to be a Christian, that's fine. You know, I mean, I let her have her own choices. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to force my beliefs on her. I've had that happen to me when I was growing up.
Right.
And I'm having that happen to me now. And I just, you know, looked at my mom and it's like, look, you know what? I'm going to be who I am. I'm not hurting anybody. You know, I'm not hurting my daughter. You know, I'm just doing me, and I'm always going to be me. You know, and it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. It's like those people who sit there and point the finger at others and tell them how to live their life and how they're doing this wrong and that. It's like if you look at their life, I mean,
exactly.
they're complete hypocrites. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like what it's like the main like my main response to a lot of these a lot of some of these Christian wingnuts who get onto my channel is, you know, they'll talk about you know, all the horrors that happen with, you know, how witches are going around sacrificing human beings and drinking their blood and all this nonsense and stuff like that. I mean, stuff that's obviously not true because there's never been evidence for it. And they turn around and say all these things, and I'll just like put in like Exodus 2016 and, you know, click
Yeah,
send.
exactly. 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 It's like, well, let me throw some Bible verses at you, buddy.
Exactly, exactly. And for those of you who don't know, Exodus 2016 is you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. So essentially, what that means is you shouldn't lie. So you know,
Yeah.
throw that burp. I mean, I did that. The Now You See TV crew. I created a response video to them, and like the the thumbnail for the video was Exodus 2016. Yeah. It's like either you're lying or
You're full of shit.
right, exactly. You're lying or you're
You're both. You're
violating
full of
your
shit and you're
own
lying.
commandments. So yeah. And let me see. What else? What else have we talked about here? What about you, Deborah? Or what do you prefer to be called, Deborah or Star Dancer?
Star Dancer.
Okay, Star Dancer. I'm sorry. So
That's it.
what do you I know we talked a little bit about your practice before. You're more of an eclectic witch, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. My path. I'll go down the path for a while and then I'll end up taking a detour and going another direction and taking a detour.
She sounds like me.
I can't walk a straight line. I touch on and have studied different paths and pantheons and and I take what serves me and the rest I put to the side or I'll toss it, if it doesn't serve me.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever works for me, whatever works for my practice. That's what I do. And I love my props.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I call them props. I love the fact that, with the herbs and the oils and the crystals and the tools, I love them. But then again, I can do magic without.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think most people think along those lines. What about you, Drea? How do you approach that?
I'm the same way. I mean, you know, when you really think about it, magic is how you look at it. It's all around you. You don't actually need the tools. I mean, it's great to have the tools to um direct it to the direction you want it, but it's pretty much just within you. It's every day that it's pretty much an everyday thing for me. I look at magic as life. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like right now I'm working with Morgana, and I've noticed ever since I started working with Morgana, I've seen a lot of crows, And every time I see crows, I always like I always talk to them. I'm like, "Oh, hi, Morgana," or "Thank you for being here." So I'm starting to appreciate um the magic of life. You know, the magic of being able to wake up the next day. The magic to breathe. You know, magic is how you pertain it and how you look at it. You don't need special tools or special statues or what have you to make magic. You have to make magic within yourself. And
Yeah.
that's just how I look at it.
Yeah.
You're a witch like 24/7.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now I'm going to offer a counter opinion. So
Okay.
Okay.
don't kill me. But
Try not
but I
to.
Off with
but
your head. No.
yeah, really, exactly. But the way, or burn him at the stake. No. The way I look at it is, let's say you're a runner or a swimmer or an athlete. You get yourself into a mindset. You kind of like, let's say maybe you go into a locker room and you get into your outfit, and you wrap your hands up or put chalk in your hands. You go through certain routines, and then you go in. You're focused on that. You're focused on doing whatever it is that you're going to do, because you're doing it for your best. You're trying to be, you're trying to be completely focused on one thing and get that accomplished and get it done, and win that event or get the highest score or whatever. The average person knows how to run or do whatever. It's a very simple activity. Everybody can do this. You're not trying to win a race when you're running down the street for the bus, but maybe you have to run every so often. That's just the way it is. So that's kind of like the difference I see it. Magic, when I get into a ritual setting, when I get myself, I have a whole process I go through to get into the ritual, before the ritual, and then once I'm in the ritual, my mind is focused completely on what it is that I'm going to accomplish, what I'm going to do. So it's almost like a light switch will go off in my head, metaphorically, obviously. But I know that once that light switch goes on, now I'm in that realm, and then I can do the working that I need to do. Now, that doesn't mean to say that out in my daily activities, if I need a little help or a little support or something like that for something that I can't, sort of fall back into that mindset and be able to go into that state. But I prefer to have a very clear division between performing magic and the mundane world, so that I know that once I enter into that space, that is now sacred space. And so I keep those things separate. So for me personally, I prefer to keep those separate.
Now, see, I mean, I have a set ritual that I do when I do practice my magic.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as every day, when I wake up in the morning, it's with the morning devotionals. It's but if I see I need something done, like say with cooking, I incorporate my magic in my cooking. If it's cleaning, I incorporate my magic into my cleaning using lemon or certain herbs or things when I sweep or I mop the floor or I scrub the walls. That's how I incorporate it, so that I am a witch 24/7. It never goes away from me. And then I am more like an animal empath, to where I can connect with wild and domestic animals. So when I go on the porch and I give food, I close my eyes and I give a silent offering, and then I will throw the food outside, knowing that, because I too have ravens that have followed me around for years. Um, but that's, to me, also, Logan, I think it's also part of you being more masculine in that aspect, because I know a lot of witches who are women that are witches 24/7. When I would go to the workplace, I
Mm-hmm.
would go within and connect with my residents, and and I don't know if you call it spiritually or psychically, I would connect with them so that I can meet their needs better and I could understand them better. So I incorporate it all the time.
And exactly, and that's how I am. I'm also just like how Star is. I'm definitely also an empath as well, and I work with children with disability, and I I tend to try my best to meet their needs at work, and just like her, and especially having my daughter, I try to meet my daughter's needs. I try to meet the needs at work with the children. I try to just do my, with me being also a single parent, I try to just incorporate things that I need to do as a single parent to get things done. Like Star was saying, doing the household chores, doing the cooking, taking care of your child, when you go to work, taking care of business at work, and making sure that you don't strangle anybody at work.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
preserve life.
yeah,
Yeah.
because there are gonna be people at work, and trust me, there's people at work that will do it, especially some of them kids.
But
But
I mean,
keeping your poise is a it's an everyday it's an everyday 24/7 situation as being a witch. And then at the end of the day, what I do is once I get my daughter situated and lying down and relaxed, that's when I go into my meditative mode and listening to my Celtic music and just have that one-on-one moment with Morgana. Because by me listening to Celtic music, I am tuning into Morgana. I'm tuning and try to hear what Morgana has to tell me for the night, so I could be prepared for the next day. So that's pretty much my routine.
So, just out of curiosity, Drea, when you say Morgana, is there a particular um, are you talking about the Irish deity, the Morrigan,
Yes,
or are you thinking of the more English version of the Morrigan from the Arthurian legends?
the Celtic version.
Okay, so the Irish goddess, the Morrigan.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's good. Yeah, that's okay. I was just curious because I know there's slightly very like when people say, because you said Morrigan, I just wasn't too sure if you meant Morrigan, like Morgan Le Fay from Le Morte d'Arthur, or if you meant the Morrigan from Celtic Irish mythology. Have
Oh,
you
I
read?
should be more. That's my bad. I should have said the
That's
more
okay.
again.
That's okay. That's all right. I was just curious. Now, have you read much of have you read any of her mythology or her legends?
I am currently studying the current I am currently studying her mythology, the mythology um of her, as
Mhm.
well as reading stuff. I'm even, to be honest with you, I'm actually reading a child version of her as well.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Well, that'd be interesting. Yeah, because
Yeah.
there's some good books out there. There's Lady Gregory. She wrote a book on the Irish hero Cuchulainn, and Cuchulainn it encounters. Does he encounter? Yeah, he does. He encounters the triple aspect of the Morrigan, which means the Great Queen. Um, there's also Charles Squire, um, who wrote some good books, and who's the other person? There's Peter Beresford Ellis. He wrote a couple of good stories on Irish mythology. I don't know if he wrote any on the Morrigan. But anyhow, yeah, I was just curious because I think that's one of the best ways that like if people want to connect with the particular deity, like sometimes people like maybe they feel like they have a hard time relating to a certain deity. Sometimes it's good to read their story and their mythology so you kind of get an understanding of who they are and how they approach situations and how they interact with other people and more importantly how other people interact with them and how they view them.
Mhm.
uh, that's I think that's really good. Yeah. So well good. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just feel like the more I read about her, the more I feel like that I could connect with her because she is for what I've read, she never been married.
No.
And with me, I've been married, but I'm single. I'm a single parent. So I feel like I could relate to her in that aspect because I just feel like I could just relate to her because we both, have dealt with being single. We both have been hurt in some kind of way, and we both are pretty much, you know, just pretty much being strong,
Hmm.
and I just feel like, she's, she's like
Yeah,
me.
yeah. Well, that's one of the good things about especially about Celtic mythology, Irish mythology, Welsh mythology. They do definitely have a lot of very strong female characters, which is good. So it's not like they're sort of dependent upon, a male figure or the king figure. They're their own characters. They have their own stories, their own, sometimes they're on equal footing. So it's a much different approach from, say, like the Christian aspect of it, where the only the nuns can go through the priest to connect with God, or it's like you don't have to go through anyone else. You can just kind of like
Exactly.
go directly through and connect with them. And I think that that's really
Exactly.
good. And as a
Exactly.
psychological tool, it's important too, because you don't feel like you have to go through someone else to get something. It's like, no, you can just do it yourself. you know, you don't have to rely upon a priest or a priestess, for that matter, to connect with a certain deity. It's like, no, you can just do it yourself directly through your own practice. So, yep.
and that's what I love about working with her because I've like I said I've noticed. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of crows around us, but I've noticed that crows are everywhere I go. And then that hardly never happened until I start, working and putting my energy, more of my energy to her. And ever since then, I was like for instance, when I did jury duty, and I was walking across the courtyard, I saw a crow. I'm like, oh, okay. And then, like, at work, I started seeing more crows. Like, okay. So it's just amazing to know that your the there's the sign of your deity is there. Your deity, it's like your deity is reminding you, look, I'm here. I'm letting you know I'm here. I'm going to protect you. If you need me, just shout me out and I'll be there for you.
Mhm,
So it's a really good feeling to have, to know that she's there.
mhm. Oh, good. Yeah, and there's have you watched a lady named Joey Morris on YouTube?
Nuh-uh.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you should look her up. Joey Morris, Morris. And the first name's Joey, Joey. But she does a lot of videos on the Morrigan,
Oh, okay,
and
cool. I'm definitely
yeah,
gonna look her up.
yeah, definitely. And I think there's several people on YouTube who are devotees of the Morrigan. So you definitely have a couple of resources. Unfortunately, I can't think of anyone else. Joey Morris is the only one who's coming to mind. But I'm sure if you tapped in, if you wrote, the Morrigan, and unfortunately, there's a lot of variations of the spelling of her name.
Oh yeah,
Just so you know, yeah. So just be prepared for that. Um, but her name means in Irish Gaelic the Great Queen. So it's in two parts, more and gain. We're gonna. So I think it's, yeah. So usually people spell it like Morgan, or sometimes Morgana. Or rare occasions like Moireghaine.
Yeah, there's like a lot of spelling for
If they
it.
really want to go the traditional Gaelic way.
I just spell it the way I have it right in my my channel name. So.
Oh, Morrigan.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. That's. Yeah, I think that's probably the more common spelling of it.
Yeah. So I'm good with the way I have it.
It's funny. It's like you can tell the difference between Welsh and Gaelic. Gaelic throws in a bunch of vowels, and
Mhm.
Welsh throws in a bunch of Y's and W's.
Yeah, I'm not trying to do all that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have some Irish background, but
Mhm.
I love my Irish people. Don't get me wrong. If you guys are Irish out there, I love y'all. I do, but damn it.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's funny because there's different ways of spelling it, and there's the older spelling, and then Irish Gaelic was outlawed in Ireland for a long time, and so it was kind of people were forced to learn English, and it was kind of shoved underground. And then recently, there's been a resurgence of the Gaelic language in Ireland, which is really good. But now you're starting to get a lot of people who are like, "Oh, wait a second, this isn't how you spell this, and this is how you spell that, and blah blah blah, and all this other stuff." It's
Yeah.
like my last name in Gaelic is spelled completely different, and there's only a handful of people in the world who use the same spelling of that name. So it's kind of interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah. Which is one of the reasons why I don't reveal it on YouTube, because it's not like Smith or Johnson. It's like it would immediately be able to find out who I am, where I live, and where I work, and all of my
Oh,
family members would be like,
exactly, right?
yeah.
Oh, he was here. Yeah, I totally agree. I try not to reveal my name on here either. So.
Yeah. No, it's just for the best, because you never know.
Yeah, you may get some trolls or psychotic people on here.
Well, yeah, that, or just problems like, suddenly, like, why am I getting pizza deliveries for, like the fifth one past hour? Oh, okay.
That I
Some
didn't pay
guy in
for.
Oklahoma City who has a beef with me is sending pizzas to my address.
I've heard of that happening too.
Yeah. Yeah, it happens. Yeah.
You'd
Or
be
people
surprised.
find out where you live and then they start stalking you.
Ooh,
Yeah,
yeah.
or yeah, right, or swatting you, or or like I said, like having things delivered to your house that you didn't order, you know. So,
Hmm.
As
yeah.
long as they pay for it, I don't care.
Exactly, right? And as long as I'm not allergic to it, and as long as you pay for it, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, really. Well, I mean, okay, if it's not pineapple pizza, if it's pineapple pizza, no, I'm not eating pineapple pizza.
That's not a pizza. That's a fruit dessert.
I know, really.
Oh,
Why are you putting fruit on a pizza? The hell is wrong with you? Yeah, there's like a debate on Twitter about, pineapple pizza. Is it really pizza?
it's not pizza. My daughter likes pineapple pizza. I don't know why. I don't know what got her into eating pineapple pizza, but I just look at her like, okay, can you just be normal and eat normal pizza
It's
like the rest of
sweet.
us?
She likes it because it's sweet.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's what it is. That's what it
Mm,
is. She's like, yeah, that's it.
that's probably what it is. Now, do you mind if I ask, how old is your daughter?
She's 11.
Oh, excuse me, he's 11. Oh,
No,
okay.
she.
Oh, she.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, so she's 11. Wow.
yeah,
So she's still pretty young.
yeah.
Yeah.
She's my baby. And I got a little fur baby too,
With a cat or a dog?
hamster.
Oh, a hamster. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh,
Yeah, hamsters are fun.
yeah,
Oh
they
yeah.
are.
Until 3 o'clock in the morning when they're on their wheel.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's like, okay, you're not, why are you nocturnal? Stop being nocturnal.
Exactly. Go to sleep.
Wait till
Be
you
a
have
normal animal.
wait till you have 4 cats running through the house like a herd of horses at 3 a.m.
Oh.
No.
I like it though. I think it's funny. Or I'll hear jingle toys going off at 2 o'clock in the morning. It's like, okay, who's playing? Okay.
It's like a natural alarm clock.
Yeah, really.
But I have to admit though, I after a while I kind of get used to our hamster being on the wheel
Mm.
because it's just like, you know, it's soothing. The sound is just now it's soothing to me. Before it would annoy the hell out of me.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's just like, oh, okay, whatever.
Now it doesn't even faze you.
Nah, it doesn't even faze me anymore.
Yeah, I had when I was growing up, I had hamsters and rats. I liked rats too.
They're very intelligent.
They are. They are very intelligent. They're very intelligent. They're very clean. I think a lot of people don't like. They get the idea, like, you know, they think of like a sewer rat or something like that, thinking they're really dirty animals. But no, they clean themselves just like cats. They're very clean animals.
Oh yeah.
You know. It's just our perception of them is kind of like they're dirty, smelly creatures, but they're not.
I've been wanting a raccoon, but my daughter keeps telling me I don't need one.
Raccoons are very interesting.
I love raccoons.
They look like bandits.
I love raccoons. They're so funny.
Have you ever watched like some of the videos of raccoons? Like they'll run up to a cat's dish, right? And they'll like pick up a pile of cat food, and then they'll run away on 2 legs like a human. Have you seen that?
They're cute. They like peanut butter sandwiches and mashed potatoes. My ex called me Ellie Mae because I tamed everything: raccoons and possums and bunnies and just whatever.
I could do bunnies. Bunnies I could do. I don't know about possums though.
Possums actually aren't very aggressive. They just look scary because their mouth opens at a 90-degree angle.
They look boring. I mean, what do possums do?
Oh, they're cute. They really are cute. And if you fatten them up enough, they look like little chubby piglets. They're just I'd have a whole house full of everything.
I don't know. Wouldn't you get tired of them playing possum?
Possum.
All right, possum, quit playing possum. But yeah, you should, when you have a chance, you should definitely go onto YouTube and look for raccoon videos because
they're adorable. There's a Melanie raccoon, and she gets on a bicycle or tricycle, and she pushes a shopping cart and she pushes the broom. So then I told my daughter I had to have one because it does housework.
It does housework. Great.
Are you worried about it? One day just saying, "Screw it, I'm hungry. I'm gonna eat up everything in the house."
They have a tendency to open the cabinet doors.
Yeah, they'll figure out how to get in that fridge, and they'll figure out how to make themselves a sandwich. And
well, I don't know if they can spread the peanut butter, but they might be able to.
I don't know.
A messy situation.
I don't know. You might try to get a couple of raccoons to do some housework for you and come home one day and find them like lounged out in front of the TV eating some sandwiches.
Yeah, with a spoon.
We're not working. We're on strike.
They're all laying down watching YouTube clips, eating peanut butter with a spoon.
Yeah, exactly. Looking at you like, when are you going to do the dishes?
Yeah, drinking a glass of milk, huh? Oh, man.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, I'll probably wrap this up pretty soon, but this is fun to do hangouts like this. I used to do this every Saturday, and then I stopped doing it, so I'm going to try to start it up again. So
we need more people on.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah, I mean, that way, no matter where you live, we can all just get together.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think sometimes if you have a topic, like if you put a topic in the for the name of the hangout, then I think more people kind of get interested. But if they just see like, oh, just hanging out and chatting, that like,
Yeah, but they could all sit down and think of a topic, and then we can just bounce around like we did tonight.
yeah, that's
Exactly.
true. That's
And
true.
that makes it more fun, I think.
And we get
Yeah,
to know, and then we get to learn about each other.
Yes.
exactly. Well, you see, you call it one thing, but then when people actually get in here, then you change the topic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go.
Like the last one.
Yeah, exactly.
See,
I'm
I
surprised they haven't
had
taken that one down.
Oh, I don't think they will. I mean, we didn't get too outrageous.
So you say that's what?
No, I mean, I don't know if you saw it, Drea, but I mean, we weren't talking about anything too outrageous, but we were just talking about sex and kink and stuff like that. I mean, it was kind of maybe not for, not safe for work. Well, yeah, I mean, but I mean, it's okay for YouTube. I don't think they'd really care. I don't even know if it's demonetized. I'll have to look. It might be demonetized. We'll see. Video manager. Look at my videos. Pop up. Yeah, it's demonetized.
Oops.
Well, not demonetized. It's limited or no ads. It's the little yellow icon.
Oh, okay.
But every time I upload a video, I always get that same icon. It's like I've just given up,
That's because you're the devil.
Yeah,
You're
right,
devil.
exactly.
You're going to
I mean,
hell, man. That's funny.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't make any money on YouTube until you pass like maybe 100,000 subscribers. You really don't, or maybe 10,000 subscribers. You really don't make any money on YouTube. So I don't really care.
So it doesn't really matter anyways, right?
Yeah. So I mean, it's like I see that little yellow icon. I'm like, meh, whatever. I don't even care. But it actually opens up some freedom for me. So now, like, if I want to throw in a music video that I know is going to get demonetized, because like, for example, the last video, not the last video, but the one I put up before the last one, the video response to Phil Fernandez part 2.
Oh,
and I put that little music video in there. It's like that will, whatever revenue that video gets goes to the person who owns the rights to that copyrighted material. So I don't get any of it. So it doesn't matter. So I'm like, fuck it. Why not just make videos that I want to make that people are going to enjoy, rather than trying to conform and twist and everything to try and fit YouTube's rules and guidelines, which are so obscure and loose and arbitrary to begin with. There's no way you can conform to them. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's like, fuck it. I'm just going to do what I want to do.
And just go from there, huh?
Yeah. Because I enjoy making like little music videos. And when you're not restricted by copyrighted material, you can just go hog wild. So that's what I'm going to do.
yes, your videos are very entertaining.
Well, thank you.
Very. And very educational, too.
Yes.
Oh, good.
Very informative.
Good. Until you find out everything I've been saying is wrong. Damn it! That guy's wrong. He was giving me bad information. That bastard.
You're like Adam Conover, man. Adam Conover.
Like who?
Adam Conover on Adam Ruins Everything.
Oh, I don't know who that is. Is he a YouTuber?
No, it's a show I watch on TV.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't watch much TV. The only thing I really watch is occasionally the news, and then also I watch Gotham. Yeah, I like Gotham.
I'm a Supernatural fan.
Oh, you watch Supernatural?
Yes, and I can't wait for Midnight Texas to come on for its second season.
I have no
That
idea
is
who
really
that is.
good.
Well, I tried to get into DC Legends, and then they had Supergirl, and they had Green Arrow,
Yeah.
and then they had another one too. Oh yeah, the Flash. The Flash I watched for a while. I enjoyed that, but I think they discontinued the Flash. I haven't heard about it
Well,
ever since.
well, I have to honestly say I'm not a DC fan. I mean, I like a couple people from DC, but I'm mainly a Marvel fan. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too. Have you seen the new Infinity War?
I want to see that. I heard it's really good.
You can get online.
Don't say
Oh
it.
yeah.
Don't start again.
Don't do it. Not again.
Don't do
You can text her privately.
Okay. I'll let you know where.
She'll
You can
send you
face-
the link.
Yeah, you can Facebook me.
There you go. But yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I think maybe I'll go and see it tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun to go out and eat popcorn and get out, whatever, but I'd rather veg at home.
Yeah, why spend the $30?
Yeah, really. It gets to be like that. Yeah, because it's like what? It's like over $10 for the ticket nowadays.
Yeah.
And then if you buy popcorn and a drink, that's another $12.
So you can make what you want at home, and then if you need to go to the restroom, you can pause it, and you don't miss anything.
Exactly.
And you don't have people behind you munching or talking too loud or playing on their cell phone.
Exactly.
Yeah, the only thing you have to deal with is that noisy hamster on the wheel.
Oh, I want to tell you. Okay, the last live chat we had with Zabora, when I was trying to get on, when I finally got on, you were hearing a cat in the background. Yeah, that was my cat.
Oh, okay. That was your cat.
She talks a lot. And she has gotten the other 3 to do the same now. So now I have the Temple of the Talking Cats.
Oh, no. They're all having a conversation and you're just trying to concentrate.
What's bad is when you come home from a store and they're all sitting in a circle, and then you open the door and they look at you like, oops.
Uh-oh.
Like, what do we do now?
That was really freaky. It's like, okay, what are you up to? I mean, sitting in a perfect circle.
Yep. They're calling up the spirit of Bast.
I think so.
Yeah.
Or they're plotting against me. I don't know which.
Right. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do when she goes to sleep tonight.
They're planning their attack for the food.
Yeah, right. Trying to figure out where the food is. So, all right. Well, I think it's almost 8 o'clock, so I think I'm going to wrap this up. But it was a lot of fun. Thank you, Start Answer, for joining in. And Drea, it was nice to meet you. And hopefully you can join us again, maybe next week if I have this.
I would definitely love to.
Cool.
Been a lot of fun. It's nice meeting you, Drea.
It's nice meeting you too.
And I will message you.
All right. Definitely.
I'll send you that link.
Yes.
And yes, and all of you in the chat, if you scroll up, I posted Drea's link to her channel, so please go check her out. And I think that's about it. So thank you, ladies, so much. Everybody in the chat, thank you so much. And I will see you next time. Take care and blessed be.
Blessed be.